The forgotten phone. It was nearly midnight when Daniel stumbled upon the phone. Half buried beneath the grime of the subway platform, its screen flickered weakly, casting pale light across the cracked tiles. No case, no identifying marks, just a smooth, black slab humming faintly as if alive. Curiosity gnawed at him, stronger than caution. In a city where lost objects were a dime a dozen, something about this phone felt different, urgent, almost sentient. He picked it up. The screen awakened fully, displaying a single message. Daniel, you have been chosen. The text pulsed slightly, as though breathing. Daniel froze. No one had called his name. The platform was empty, save for the echo of distant trains and the faint rustle of debris. He turned the phone over, expecting a battery icon or notifications, but there was nothing. Only his name, glowing. A second message appeared, faster than he could comprehend. Do not leave. Watch carefully. What you see is real. A chill crept up his spine. He glanced around, half expecting someone to be watching, but the shadows remained indifferent. His hand shook, but the phone's glow drew him closer. He felt a magnetic pull, an invisible tether anchoring him to the object. With a tentative swipe, the screen revealed a photograph, himself, standing on the very platform, taken from a strange angle that he had never seen. Questions spiraled in his mind. How could this be? Who could have taken this photo? He dropped the phone once, only to have it land upright, face illuminated, as if it had a will of its own. The faint hum that emanated from its speaker was low, almost imperceptible, yet it resonated deep in his chest. Then came the third message. Look closer. The next image will show more. You cannot turn away. Daniel's instincts screamed to flee, to leave the platform and forget he had ever touched the cursed device. But the phone's light was intoxicating, and its messages insistent. He swiped again. The image that appeared froze him in place. It was the subway car that had passed moments earlier. Inside were people, but their faces were pale, distorted, eyes wide and unblinking. Daniel recognized some of them, commuters he had passed countless times without a second thought, now frozen in expressions of terror. A new message appeared as if typed in real time. They see you. You see them. Continue. Or disappear. The words seemed to echo inside his skull, louder than the subway's hum or the faint clatter of the tracks. Every instinct in him demanded escape, yet his fingers moved automatically, compelled by a force that was both digital and impossible. Another swipe revealed more images, faces of people long gone, their last moments captured in the eerie stillness of the phone. Each image was accompanied by a new warning. Respond. Or join them. The platform felt colder, shadows stretching unnaturally, the train tunnels darkening beyond reason. The phone vibrated violently in his hand, almost jerking his arm. He glanced at the screen and saw the final prompt for the night. Your first choice. Reply. Save someone. Or ignore them and they are lost forever. Daniel's heart pounded. This was no ordinary lost phone. It was a conduit, a bridge to something beyond, forcing him to confront lives and deaths he could neither understand nor ignore. The hum grew louder, filling his ears, entwining with the rhythm of his heartbeat. He realized with mounting dread that the phone was not simply showing him images. It was testing him, observing him, perhaps even controlling him. Each action, hesitation, and glance was already anticipated. The choice loomed before him, and for the first time, Daniel understood the gravity. The phone did not simply communicate. It demanded obedience. Daniel's fingers hovered over the screen, the weight of the decision pressing down like a stone. The train rumbled past, leaving a cold draft in its wake, yet he could not tear his eyes away. The message had made it clear. Reply. Save someone. Or ignore them and they are lost forever. A strange tension gripped him, as if the city itself had paused to watch. Every shadow along the platform seemed elongated, watching, waiting. The hum of the phone had become a constant vibration in his skull, synchronizing with his heartbeat. He swiped, and another photograph appeared. A young woman sat alone on a nearby platform bench, her coat pulled tightly around her. Her eyes were wide, staring directly at the camera, or, unnervingly, directly at Daniel. He had seen her before, on the subway just an hour ago, her face unnoticed among the sea of commuters. The phone's next message blinked rapidly. She is unaware. Save her. Reply now. His rational mind screamed for logic. How could a phone predict this? How could it anticipate a decision before it was made? Yet the images were undeniable, each more immediate, more urgent than the last. Another vibration shook him violently, forcing his gaze to the next frame. This time, the woman's surroundings were distorted, the platform walls bending, shadows pooling unnaturally around her. The hum was deafening, a low vibration that seemed to fill the air itself. What are you? Daniel muttered under his breath, though no answer came except the incessant glow. The screen changed again. A prompt appeared with a small text box. Type her name. Confirm life or loss. Your choice defines the next hour. Daniel's throat went dry. He knew her name, Samantha. He had passed her every day for weeks, but the knowledge felt trivial in the face of the device's weight. One wrong move, and the phone promised consequences beyond comprehension. Daniel's hand trembled as he typed. The letters felt heavy, as though each stroke carried the burden of unseen eyes watching, waiting, judging. The vibration surged, more insistent, more commanding. Confirmed. Now act. You must move before she vanishes. Daniel ran, heart hammering, down the platform stairs, the phone lighting his path. The shadows in the corners of the stairwell seemed to shift with him, moving against the natural flow of light. Every step felt orchestrated, every turn anticipated. At the base of the stairs, Samantha appeared, unaware, glancing around the empty corridors. Daniel approached cautiously, the phone in one hand, an invisible leash tethering him to the device's will. Another message appeared. Guide her. One wrong direction, one hesitation, and she will be lost to the void. He swallowed hard, feeling the cold pressure of inevitability pressing on his chest. The corridor seemed endless, shadows thickening, the air growing viscous, almost tangible. He spoke to her, voice shaking. Hey, Samantha. Come with me. We need to get out of here. Her eyes blinked, startled, yet she obeyed silently, following him through the winding tunnels. The phone vibrated violently, displaying the next warning. Do not look away. Every glance counts. You are being observed. Daniel realized, with mounting horror, that he and Samantha were now caught in a network of predestination. The device was not merely guiding him, it was orchestrating life and death with absolute precision. The tunnels stretched, each shadow a subtle threat, each turn echoing with the hum of the phone. Daniel's mind raced, trying to anticipate the next command, to predict the unfolding horror, but the phone's movements were always one step ahead. Every instinct screamed resistance, but he knew that disobedience could cost more than his own life. Samantha clutched his arm, her presence fragile, human, grounding, but also a reminder of what was at stake. Another vibration. Another message. The choice will soon demand more than guidance. Prepare. The first test is not yet complete. Fail, and both lives are forfeit. Daniel's pulse quickened. The phone was evolving, feeding on their fear, shaping reality around them. Every corridor, every shadowed step, had become a part of its plan. He could not look away, could not pause. Their survival now depended on obedience, timing, and the ability to act while under relentless, unseen scrutiny. The tunnels seemed endless, a labyrinth shifting subtly under their feet. Shadows moved independently, curling along walls and stairs, lingering where no light should fall. Daniel could feel the phone's presence pressing against his mind, each vibration now a command rather than a warning. Samantha clutched his arm tightly, her small hand trembling, and he realized with a jolt that she too was tethered to the phone's influence, a silent participant in a game whose rules they did not understand. Another message appeared on the screen. They watch. They judge. The next choice will prove your worth. Daniel's pulse quickened. He turned a corner, and the corridor ahead split into 3 paths, each darker than the last. The phone's glow pulsed insistently, as if highlighting one path, yet the other 2 seemed to whisper, beckoning him with hidden promises and threats. The hum had grown into a low, resonant vibration, filling the walls and floors, seeping into their bones. He hesitated. One path might save them both. Another might doom them. The phone's screen displayed a final photo for the moment. Samantha, eyes wide with fear, framed against a darkened corridor that had no doors, no exits. Time is short. The text blinked. Daniel realized the images were not merely records. They were predictions, snapshots of possible outcomes, contingent on his actions. Come on, he urged, voice tense but calm, hoping his confidence would steady her. Samantha nodded, silently trusting him despite the palpable dread in the air. He took a deep breath, letting instinct guide him, and chose the middle corridor, the one suggested most strongly by the pulsing glow. The shadows seemed to recoil slightly as they advanced, but there was no time to linger on relief. The phone's next message appeared immediately. A test of courage. Observe carefully. Ignore nothing. The walls began to distort. What moments ago had seemed like smooth concrete now rippled, morphing into faces contorted in silent screams, hands reaching toward them from unseen spaces. Daniel's stomach churned, and for a fleeting second, he considered dropping the phone and fleeing blindly. But the vibration was sharp, insistent, almost painful, compelling him to act. Each step forward felt like a negotiation between his will and the device's authority. A sudden movement caught his eye. A figure darted across the corridor, blurred and indistinct. Samantha gasped. Daniel turned, but the figure had vanished, leaving only the echo of a name whispered in the static of the phone. Daniel! Daniel! His heart pounded. The device had drawn something into their path, testing their focus, ensuring compliance. Each pulse of the screen aligned with the rhythm of their terror. They reached a junction where a subway track emerged from darkness, the rails gleaming faintly under the phone's glow. Daniel froze. The next message appeared. The next step requires sacrifice. Choose carefully, or lose everything. Daniel could feel the weight of inevitability pressing down. Every instinct screamed that moving forward might condemn them both, yet hesitating guaranteed failure. He glanced at Samantha. Her trust, her fear, and her silent plea for safety galvanized him. Daniel gritted his teeth, pressing forward, following the path illuminated by the eerie pulse of the phone. The air thickened, shadows elongating into impossible forms, faces emerging in the darkness, whispering indistinctly. Each whisper was a warning, a temptation, a command. They were moving through a space where the digital and the real overlapped, where time warped to the device's rhythm, and every step became both a test and a trap. Finally, Daniel reached a platform suspended above blackness, rails leading into nowhere. The phone vibrated violently, displaying its next demand. Act. One choice determines survival. Delay, and all is lost. Daniel's mind raced. He knew that one false move, one hesitation, could erase Samantha, could erase them both. The phone's influence was absolute, anticipating fear, shaping action, compelling obedience. Every shred of autonomy he had clung to was now being measured, weighed, and tested. Daniel's chest heaved as he stepped onto the suspended platform. The rails extended into nothingness, a void that seemed to absorb all sound and light. Samantha clutched his hand tightly, eyes wide, her breath shallow. The phone pulsed insistently, vibrating in his palm with a force that felt almost alive. Another message appeared. Decide now. Life or oblivion. Delay is fatal. The words seemed to echo in the void itself, merging with the whispering shadows that surrounded them. He took a cautious step forward, then another. Each movement felt exaggerated, as if the air resisted their passage. The shadows twisted, reaching toward them like dark fingers, whispering names of those who had succumbed to the device before them. Faces appeared, fleetingly in the darkness, commuters, strangers, even someone Daniel thought he recognized from a distant childhood memory. Their mouths moved soundlessly, but the vibration of the phone translated their intent directly into Daniel's mind. Fail and join us. Samantha's grip tightened, grounding him momentarily, but the phone pulsed violently again. Choose. Or all is lost. The suspended platform shuddered as if reacting to their hesitation. Daniel knew that moving forward was no longer optional. He had to act, compelled by forces beyond comprehension. He risked glancing at the void beneath the rails. A cold wind gusted, and fleeting forms seemed to fall into the darkness, their silent screams merging with the phone's insistent vibrations. Another image flashed on the screen. Samantha, but her expression had changed. Her eyes hollow, face pale, lips forming a wordless scream. Delay and she becomes one of them. Daniel felt panic surge through him, hot and choking. He had no time to analyze, no time to plan, only the pulsing light of the phone, the unyielding vibration, and the need to act. He gritted his teeth and moved forward, each step forcing the void to yield momentarily, each vibration guiding him like a sinister beacon. Suddenly, a bridge of faint light arced ahead, connecting the platform to another section of the subway, a part that should not exist. The shadows surged toward them, writhing in anger and desperation. Daniel realized that the phone was not just a guide, it was the test itself. Every image, every vibration, every whisper of the unseen had been measuring his courage, his choices, his willingness to act under duress. He grabbed Samantha's hand, urging her forward. Trust me. Keep moving, he said, though his own voice trembled. The shadows swirled around them, forming semi-solid shapes, blurred figures of those who had failed, who had ignored the device's demands. Each shadow lunged briefly, then recoiled, as if testing the limits of the phone's tethered power. The phone vibrated violently, its screen displaying a single directive. The final step. Place the phone in the circle. Only then may you survive. Daniel glanced around and saw faint lines glowing on the platform, forming a crude circle etched into the concrete. The shadows thrashed violently at the edges, their whispering rising to a cacophony of torment. He realized that placing the phone would not only conclude the immediate test but bind the device in some unknown way. Hesitation could doom them both. Hard hammering, Daniel approached the circle. Samantha followed closely, her trust implicit, her fear mirrored in his own. The shadows surged one last time, pressing against the edges, voices a cacophony of accusation and warning. He dropped the phone into the glowing circle. The vibration peaked, a force that felt like it might shatter his chest. A high-pitched hum filled the void, then, abruptly, silence. The shadows dissipated, drawn into the circle, leaving an eerie stillness. Daniel collapsed, gasping, holding Samantha as they processed the sudden calm. The phone lay inert, its glow dimmed, as if exhausted. Yet a faint vibration lingered, subtle, a reminder that the device had not vanished. It had only paused, its hunger deferred. Daniel knew instinctively that this was not the end. The phone was patient, eternal, and it would wait for the next opportunity to reclaim those who failed to resist or obey fully. Daniel and Samantha remained on the abandoned platform, the phone inert in the glowing circle before them. The air was thick with a silence so profound it pressed against their eardrums. Every instinct screamed that the device was merely dormant, not destroyed. He glanced at Samantha. Her eyes reflected a mixture of relief and lingering fear. The corridor behind them stretched into darkness, no longer twisting or shifting, but Daniel knew better than to trust appearances. The phone's reach had been subtle yet absolute. It had tested them, measured them, and spared them only temporarily. Samantha finally spoke, voice barely above a whisper. What happens now?" Her words trembled, the weight of uncertainty settling between them like dust. Daniel did not answer immediately. He studied the phone, its faint glow casting eerie shadows on the platform walls. He could still feel the lingering vibration in his palm, faint but insistent, a heartbeat of the device's presence. "We survived this," he said slowly. "But it's still here. Waiting. Watching." They left the platform cautiously, moving into the subway tunnels. Daniel's hand brushed against the wall, and he noted every shadow, every sound, hyper-aware of the potential for the phone to assert itself again. The city above seemed ordinary, indifferent, yet he felt that the invisible eyes followed them, aware of their escape. Each step toward the exit was calculated, their pace measured, their breaths controlled, as if the faint hum in their ears might swell into action if they faltered. When they finally emerged onto the street, night had fallen. Streetlights flickered in rhythm with the distant subway rumbles. Samantha drew in a shaky breath, looking at the commuters walking past, oblivious to the ordeal hidden beneath their feet. Daniel felt a strange dissonance. The world continued as usual, yet the device lingered in the corners of his consciousness. He knew it could strike again, manifesting in subtle ways, testing new lives, hunting new fears. Weeks passed, but the memory of the phone's power never dulled. Daniel noticed anomalies, text messages on his old devices, unfamiliar notifications that vanished upon closer inspection, fleeting shadows and reflective surfaces. Each small disturbance carried the same oppressive weight, a reminder that the device's reach extended beyond physical boundaries. He began documenting everything, trying to map patterns, to understand the rules of its influence. Samantha joined him, equally vigilant, their lives now bound by shared experience and relentless caution. Then, one evening, as Daniel walked past a crowded subway station, his phone vibrated in his pocket, though he had not touched it. A single message appeared on the screen, glowing faintly. You have been observed. The test continues. Are you ready? Daniel froze, recognizing the familiar pulsing glow and the low, resonant vibration that had guided and threatened them before. His hand tightened around the device, heart hammering. He realized, with a cold certainty, that the phone's presence was eternal, patient, and methodical. Samantha appeared beside him, glancing at the screen. It's back, she whispered, her voice trembling yet steady. They exchanged a look, a silent acknowledgement of the ordeal they had survived and the new trial that awaited. The shadows around the station seemed to lengthen imperceptibly, merging with the ordinary commuters, as if the city itself were complicit. The phone vibrated again, and the screen displayed the faint outline of a figure, another person, unknown, caught in the device's invisible grasp. Daniel's mind raced, balancing fear with determination. He understood now that the phone was not just a device, it was a force, an entity, an observer, a judge. Their survival depended on vigilance, courage, and the willingness to act under pressure. But he also realized that the world would continue, oblivious, while the phone plodded silently, seeking new victims. The vibration grew subtly, harmonizing with the rhythm of the city, as if inviting them, and all who might come after, to step into its inexorable game. With a deep breath, Daniel turned to Samantha. We've survived once, he said quietly. But we'll have to be ready, always. The phone's screen pulsed faintly, as if acknowledging his words, and the hum continued, subtle, eternal, and foreboding. Somewhere in the shadows of the subway, the next call was already forming, the next life being observed, the next choice waiting. The city moved on above them, but below, the phone waited, patient, watching, hungry.